Shankaraचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति।
Sir, we finished on verse 20,
Verse
third book.
20. I think we were doing verse 20. I don't know if we finished it. I remember a little bit of that introductory Bashyam that Acharya has written on verse 20. We were reading that, I remember. Incidentally, about 10 days ago, about 40 odd people from Ashwavidyalaya went to Sringeri Ashram, Sringeri Matha. I could not go because of the eye problem, but I think Professor Jagdishanji went with the group. I understand it's a wonderful trip. They had good darshan in Sringeri and also in Udupi.
Also Mukambika.
Mukambika as well. Udupi, I'm told, had something like 40,000 people waiting for darshan.
Geethamma made a miracle.
I know, very special privilege. They all were taken inside. They also went to the Gita Bhavan and chanted all 18 chapters of Gita. Really, really nice to hear all that. There's lots of pictures that came. I think we shared it in the group also. You might have seen it. Nice. These are not easy trips, but I think at the end of it, everybody looks back and saying, wow. Okay. Just to recap, Nachiketa fortuitously had the encounter with Lord Yama, and he was not terrified or anything of Lord Yama. He's obviously well prepared, and when Lord Yama offered him 3 boons, he had also thought through the boons that we'll ask for. You know, it's something which is not all that easy. If suddenly somebody comes up and says, look, I have the power to give you certain things. What do you want? I give power to everything, give you everything. We are not really most of the time prepared to ask what we should ask for. But he had very beautiful sequential idea of what he will ask for. The first boon he asked was a personal one for himself, for his immediate family. He said he wanted to go back in the same form, not as a ghost, and that his father should recognize him and feel happy. All that he asked for, very personal, which is what we would also normally do. This I concept we have of the Sharira, for that, for the body, mind, sense complex, we ask for things. Whatever we think will give us a sense of happiness. So that was the first boon. And the second boon was wider. Second Vara, he said he wanted to know what one should do to get to Svargaloka. Again, this is not purely personal because there are 2 things that are different from the first one. One is paraloka prapti. Whereas the first one is very much within the samsara, within the immediate samsara. Even Swargaloka is samsara only. But what is referred to as paraloka. So he asked for paraloka boon, that should become available not only for him, because he is already in the Devaloka. And he's already got the boon to go back, and he's got a third boon waiting. So this is not so much for him personally, but for mankind in general. Every human being is eligible to go to Swargaloka. All that the person has to do is to follow certain strict rules. Swargaloka is available for every human being. So the second boon was, what is the process by which a human being can get to Swargaloka? And we have not yet come to the third boon. It will come at the end of this early. Third boon will come. Third boon is going to be about, okay, artha, kama taken care of, dharma taken care of, or moksha. Again, interestingly, moksha, every human being is eligible for it. Every human being can get moksha. And I specifically say human being. Others may get, but not directly. An animal can also get moksha. But from the animal form, directly moksha is not possible. From the animal form, that jiva has to take a form again as a manushya, and then have the purushartha for moksha, a single pointed purushartha for moksha, then can gain moksha. Can devatas get moksha directly? Again, there's a bit of an argument on that. But the gist of it is, they can. But the problem with the Devaloka, and therefore all the devatas, is that they are already in a state where they are not subject to sorrow. Now, if you're not subject to sorrow, then the pressure for you to get to know what is moksha and how to get moksha is so much less. Even on this earth, there are a lot of people who have enormous amount of comforts, but they are as much subject to sorrow as somebody else who does not have comforts. And it is this question saying, why am I being subjected to the sorrow? Which is what pushes one into finding out. And therefore becomes the hetu for the sadhana, for the effort to gain moksha. In the case of devatas, they do have this feature that they don't have access, they are not subject to sorrow, but what they don't recognize mostly is that this state is temporary, anitya. The day one recognizes that this is anitya and a time will come when I may be subject to sorrow, one may be more inclined to look for a solution which is nitya. But as a manushya, as human being, everybody is basically eligible to gain this moksha because this pressure is there. We will see when we do Viveka Chudamani how Acharya exploits this, explains why there's so much variation. Why is it that not every human being is looking for moksha? The situation is the same. Because there are other conditions for qualification. So otherwise, the basics, this is if you are a human being, you're eligible for moksha. And yet, hardly any human being, you look at the total population of human beings, a very, very small percentage is even aware that there is a possibility of that Nitya Ananda, Ananda Swarupa. Even among those who have this possibility, a very minute fraction make the effort. Manushyanam sahastreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye. And even among those who make the effort, yatana, yatatanam absiddhanam, kaschit mam vetti tattvataha. That is moksha. If you know the tattva of Ishvara, tattva of the self, Jnanam is what is moksha. And that is an issue which we will discuss in great detail when we do Viveka Chudamani. Why is it that not every human being, although basically eligible for moksha, why is it that very few human beings make an effort? And why is it that very, 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 very few human beings get to that state? Now, Nachiketa, although he's a child, has some idea. So having got rid of the first two vara, he now steps up and wants to know what is this moksha. Am I this body, mind, sense complex? If I am not, then what happens after the body, mind, sense complex is destroyed? As it will be destroyed. We know that. Do I still exist? Is there something that still exists that can be identified with? If it does, what is the nature? Now, a lot of so-called religions, faiths, do say that something exists after the body is gone. There is a certain amount of faith, but it is unreasoned in many cases. There are other, not religions, but philosophies like Charvakas, who say there is nothing. The body goes, that's the end of that. There is nothing after that. Because I can't see anything. Nobody has come back and told me, no, there is something. Because nobody can come back. All these different philosophies are there. Different thinking is there about what happens post the death of the body. Even when somebody says, you go to another loka, a heaven, a Jannat, how do you go? In what form do you go? What happens there? How long does it last? Big question marks. So, does something exist post the fall of the Sharira? Can that be identified? What happens to that? What is the nature of that? Those are questions which there are no immediate answers for. Think about it. We know that this body is going to go. We've attended in our lives several situations where somebody has died, either we've gone to the burial or the cremation. And that's the time when you sit and think, what happened to that guy? I knew him so well. Has he gone with the body? So we depend on a pramana. A pramana which one may accept, one may not accept. A pramana which one may read wrongly. Any pramana has to be processed. And if read wrongly and understood wrongly, one will get a wrong set of ideas. Like our friends, the 6 blind men of Hindustan. What happens? The pramana is the feel. The one who touches the legs feels the legs. That pramana gives him the knowledge that the elephant is like the cylindrical long, has a rough structure. That is then processed. In the processing, either because the data available is incomplete, or because the processing is limited in the background in the brain, this man compares it with data available within, and the data available within says, a pillar is like this. I felt pillars. And I'm told the pillars what hold the structure up. I felt them. People have taken me to the temple and I've felt the pillar in the temple. I've been told that's called a pillar. And therefore, he, based on the data and this processing, concludes that the elephant like a pillar. So the pramana gives you knowledge. That knowledge has to be understood. Even in Laukika Vishaya. And where the Vishaya is not even Laukika, we talk about you, it becomes even more complex. So each of these 6 people touch different portions of the elephant and feed it to the processing, and they can come up with different. This is what happens with our own understanding of the Shastra. The Shastra is a pramana. Some people may not accept it as a pramana. Then therefore you go to become a charvaka. No, there's nothing after the body falls. Or you accept the pramana, and the data that you get from the pramana, from the Shastra, is the form of words. Those words have to be interpreted. And you get all kinds of leading to doubts. Even if I conclude in some way that there is something after death, that identification with that I is may not be there. Even if it is there, in what form it is there may not be there. And then I draw a conclusion. And that conclusion, I insist, is the correct one. Because it is my conclusion. And therefore, you have all these different. But at the back of the mind, everybody has a doubt. What happens? Where does the individual that I knew go? What happens? All this he has done so far in terms of the first two boons asking are to do with Anitya Vastu only. Either to do with his father is also Anitya in the form that he knows his father. The son is also Anitya in the form that he knows. Svargaloka is also Anitya, long but Anitya. So all this is Anitya Vastu. What Nachiketa, having somehow heard of all these, because he's in a family where these things are probably openly discussed, he's been in the presence of Vidwans, he knows there is something else. Something has to be there. And that's something he wants to know. The nature of whatever that is. And this portion of the thing, Acharya introduces in Bhashya Avataranika. Portion of the Bhashya where this part of the Bhashyam Shankaracharya introduces. And if I remember right, we started reading this. Since we cannot project it on the screen today, you may all need to look up the book and read it together. Etavadhi.
Etavadhi.
Somebody can tell the page number so that others can quickly find it. Who has found the page number?
Page number 35.
No, 32. Page number 32. Last para.
Etavadhi
Etavadhi.
Atikrantena
Atikrantena
Vidhi Pratishedharthena
Vidhi
Vidhi
Pratishyadharthena
Pratishyadharthena
Antarbrahmanena
Brahmanena
Avagantavyam
Audantavyam
Avagantavyam
Yad Varadvaya Suchitam Vastu
Yad
Yat Varadvaya
Suchitam
Suchitam
Vastu
Vastu
Na Atma Tattva Vishaya Yathatmya Vijnanam
Na
Na
Atma
Atma
Tattva
Tattva
Vishaya
Vishaya
Vijnanam
Etavadhi. Only this much that the two varas information will give you. What etavadhi atikrantena, what has gone by so far in the krama, up to this verse, up to this mantra, whatever has gone by, it is vidhi pratishedharthena, by the vidhi and pratisheda. Where is the vidhi and pratisheda? In the karma kanda. Vidhi and pratishedha are in the karma kanda. Do this, don't do this. You want to go to Svargaloka, you do like this, follow these instructions. Don't do these things. Vidhi pratishedhathena mantra brahmanena. In the mantra brahmana portion of the Veda, from that, you learn avagantavyam. What do you learn? Yat varadvaya suchitam vastu. What is indicated by the two varas that Nachiketa had asked for. What kind of vastu are they? It is not Atma Tattva Vishaya. What is asked for is not Atma Tattva Vishaya. Natma Tattva Vishaya Yathatmya Vijnanam. You cannot learn Atma Tattva by these bones. This is part of the Karmakanda Mantra Brahmana. You cannot learn about Atma Tattvam. But Atma Tattvam is what all of us are trying to figure out. What is the nature of Atma? Ataha
अतः
Vidhi Pratishedartha Vishayasya
विधिप्रतिषेधार्थविषयस्य
Atmani
आत्मनि
आत्मनि
Kriyakaraka Phala Adhyaropana Lakshanasya
क्रियाकारकफलाध्यारोपलक्षणस्य
क्रियाकारकफलरूपलक्षय
Swabhavikasya
स्वाभाविकस्य
स्वाभाविकस्य
Ajnanasya
अज्ञानस्य
अज्ञानस्य
Samsara Bijasya
संसारबीजस्य
संसारबीजस्य
Nivrtyartham.
निवृत्त्यर्थं
निवृत्त्यर्थम्
These are only Vidhi Pratishedartha Vishayasya Atmani Kriyakaraka Phala Adhyaropena Lakshanasya. On the Atma, you topo Karaka Kriya Karaka Phala Adhyaropa. Adhyaropa is superimposition. That is the first portion of our learning. A Karaka, you know, every action, every karma has to have Karaka. Karma cannot stand on its own. No karma can stand on its own. Stand is a karma. Who stands? Otherwise, what is stand? Standing. Somebody is standing, or something is standing. At least that much. All the karakas which associate an action. And the moment you say action and the karakas, you're including a karta, a doer. Karta meaning knower, thinker, everything is a karta. And an end result, karta of what? An object. And the actual kriya itself. Knower, object of knowledge and knowing. That division that you get is samsara. So we are still in that state of what can be learnt from the Karmakanda only. Kriya, Karaka, Phala, and its result. Whatever Kriya you do, what is the result of that? Adhyaropana Lakshanasya Swabhavikasya Ajnanasya. All this is because of not really knowing what is Atma. Therefore, the superimposition on the Atma. And this is the Karanam for samsara. It is called samsara. Samsara bijasya. All this is fine, but I want to get rid of that. What do I do to get rid of that? Simple. There is all this is caused by ajnanam. So all I have to do is gain that knowledge. Ajnanam goes, ajnana nivritti happens. With ajnana nivritti, all this karaka, kriya, karaka, phala sambandha goes. There's nothing left. No samsara. That is what I'm looking for. That samsara bijasya nivrityartham to get rid of this samsara bija, the ajnanam, which creates all these divisions of subject-object. Tad viparita brahma atma ekatva vijnanam. That which is opposed to the jnanam. With that jnanam that I can gain, it is opposed to that Brahma ekatva vijnanam. There is only one Brahman, Atma, Om, I, everything is the same. But the whole Jagat that I perceive, I only see that I see the differentiation. If I can understand the undifferentiated Brahman, I, despite all the differentiation, that is Jnanam. That Jnanam, Tad Viparita Brahma Ekatva Vijnanam, what is the Lakshana of that? Kriya Karaka Phala Adhyaropana Lakshana Shunyam. What is the nature of this? The nature of what was seen by the Anitya Vastu in the first two boons is, we saw Kriya Karaka Phala Adhyaropana Lakshanam. Here, the opposite of that is Kriya Karaka Phala Adhyaropana Lakshana Shunyam. There is no division. There is only one thing. And that thing has to be I, Atma. Kriya Karaka Phala Adhyaropana Lakshana Shunyam is called moksha. When all the difference between subject-object and the knowledge disappears, Atyantika Nishreyasa Prayojanam. Nishreyasa is moksha. Atyantika Nishreyasa Prayojanam Vaktavyam. Now that has to be talked about. This is an Upanishad which will tell us about that, like any other Upanishad. So that has to come. Iti Uttara Grantha Arabhyate. So Acharya says, all this we have studied so far is to do with Anitya Vastu, to do with samsara. Whether it is wanting to go back to Martyaloka, my father to be happy, going to Swargaloka, which is also Anitya. What one has to know is this, this Shreyasya Prayojanam. Shreyasya Prayojanam is the phala that you're looking for is Nishreyasa, Moksha. Vaktavyam iti Uttara Grantha Arabhyate. Uttara Grantha is further Grantha, further this whole Upanishad is started. This is how Acharya introduces the further verses, further mantras. Tametamartham
Tametamardham
Dvitiya Vara Praptyapi
Tritiyavara Prapyati
Kritartham
Kritartham
Tritiya Vara Gocharam
Tritiyavara Gocharam
Atma Jnanamantarena
Atmajnanamantarena
Iti Akhyayikaya
Iti
Iti
Akhyayikaya
Akhyayikaya
Prapanchayati.
Panchayati.
This is the thing that we are trying to look for. That the whole thing is detailed by this Akhyayika, by this Upanishad. What is detailed? For this reason, Dvitiya Vara Prapti api Akritartham. You can get whatever Vara you want. But there will always one will feel I have to do because I have to gain something. I want. That will always remain. I go to Svargaloka, but also I will end there and come back to Matyaloka. I want to be happy. Yes, you will be happy for a certain time in a certain place, but that's going to end. So this akritarthvam is a beautiful word. You will see this many times in many Upanishads. Kritakrityagyaha. One who knows there's nothing more to do. How can you get to that state when there's nothing more to do? Can any one of us genuinely say, I have nothing more to do? Never happens. When can it happen? Only when I recognize the Purnatva nature of myself. There is nothing beyond Purnatva. But any other state, whatever the state is, however high the state is, there's always something to do and something to gain. So the akritatvam, the state of not needing anything, not needing to do anything, not needing to achieve anything, not needing to gain anything, cannot be achieved at all. Therefore, he says, Tritiya gocharam atmajnanam antarena iti akhyayika prapanchayati. The Upanishad now takes us to the Tritiya Vara, where we are looking for this state of being kritakritagnya. There's nothing to do, no want, nothing to achieve. Yataha
यतः
यतः
purvasmat karma gocharat
पूर्वस्मात् कर्मगोचरात्
कर्मगोचरा
sadhya sadhana lakshanat
साध्यसाधनलक्षणात्
साध्यसाधनलक्षणात्
anityat
अनित्यात्
अनित्यात्
anityat viraktasya
विरक्तस्य
विरक्तस्य
atmajnane
आत्मज्ञाने
आत्मज्ञाने
adhikarayiti
अधिकारयति
अधिकार इति
tat nindartham
तत् निन्दार्थं
तदनिन्दार्थं
putradi
पुत्रादि
पुत्रादि
pralobhanam
उपन्यासेन
kriyate.
उपन्यासेन प्रलोभनं
What
क्रियते
to understand this? Tritiya vara gocharam atmajnanam antarena iti akhyayika prapanchanti we saw. Yataha purvasmat karma gocharat sadhya sadhana lakshanat anityat, anything which is to be gained through a means of gaining, which will always continue, which is never ending. Viraktasya, anityat viraktasya, that which is not anitya, different, other than anitya. Atmajnane adhikareti, you have to gain that atmajnanam. Therefore, to decry any anitya phalam, to show it down, to do ninda for it. This portion of the Upanishad, putradi upanyasena pralobanam kriyate. It shows, why do we want something? Why do I want more money? Why do I want something else? I think that is going to get me to a state of ananda. But it is anitya. It doesn't matter what I get. Putra, vitta, loka, All of them will get me only what is anitya. But as long as I remain with that anitya, as long as I remain in that ajnana, I'm in the samsara, wanting will never stop. To do ninda to that and saying, no, what you got to look for is the state of Ananda Swarupa, Upanyasena Pralobhanam Kriyate. It is shown as being, Pralobhanam really is temptation. So all the temptation is being given. And how Nachiketa, despite being a real young boy only, has enough worldly wisdom and enough understanding of the fact that there is something way beyond all this that's available, is able to reject. Reject them as being offered in lieu of what he is asking for. He is asking for this Nitya Jnana, Moksha. Anything else you get will be relatively valueless. You remember our famous example when a 3-year-old child is offered an ice cream on one hand and a fully loaded credit card on the other hand? No comparison. No, I'm not sure. Okay, I'll give you 2 ice creams. I will also give you chocolate. This is what we are doing. This is what Yamadharmaraja is trying to do to Nachiketa now. Because those are easily recognizable and everybody knows them. Ask anybody, they will all say that I want this, I want that, I want money, I want to be a leader, I want to rule, I want to do this, I want to do that. All of that. And one can be tempted. One can easily be tempted because that is in the top of my mind. I have seen somebody else who's got the, I don't know, big house. I'll give you a big house. Not enough. I like that mathematical expression of this. Today, on a scale, convert everything into numbers, on a scale, I'm at 10,000. And somewhere I've read that Purnatvam is what you should look for. It's there. But I'm not sure. I've read it. I've got Shraddha in the Shastra which says Purnatvam is what is. That is moksha. Somebody comes and says, listen, I will help you go to 1 million. It is so much more tangible. It is like an old mathematical problem. You're offered a choice of 2 boxes. You know, many of these TV shows have these variations of this. In one box is $10,000 known. In the other box is either nothing or a few $1,000,000. A bird in hand is better than 2 in the bush. I choose this. I know that there is something like moksha possible, but there's always this doubt. Either 0 or 1,000,000. Here at least I know I'm getting $10,000. Unless that certainty is there that what Shastra says is right, I have to go by that. I won't even make an attempt there. I take it, leke ghar jao. So, tad nindartham. to show that down. Hey, you're making a mistake, my friend. You'll get $10,000, it'll get spent in 2 months. What are you going to do after that? Back at same place, square one. Pralobhanam kriyate. It is showing that down. That is the beautiful introduction that Acharya has given to what happens from here. The next few verses, about 9 verses, we will see this beautiful conversation between Nachiketa and Yama, and how Nachiketa is being given temptation. You know, in the Christian thinking, when they say, lead us not to temptation, I don't think they understand what they're talking about. At a very Laukika level, you say, lead us not to temptation, I can understand, because that will be negative effects of that, you know that. But right now it looks good. But this is what it's all about. That temptation to take the $10,000, not recognizing that $10,000 will finish, you're back to the same place. So this third boon and the dialogue between Nachiketa and Yamadharmaraja in the next about 9 verses, I think, or 10 verses, is what we're going to be looking at. Nachiketaha uvacha
Nachiketaha uvacha
उवाच
tritiyam varam nachiketo vrinishva
Tritiyam varam nachiketo vrinishva
ityuktaha san.
इत्युक्तः
Ityuktah
सन्
san.
What did Yamadharmaraja tell Nachiketa in the previous mantra? Tritiyam varam nachiketo vrishva. I'm very happy that you got your second boon. I'm so happy that I've called this whole process Nachiketa Agnihi. Now you can ask for a third boon. I've been told by Yamadharmaraja to ask for the third boon, Nachiketa Uvacha. And what does Nachiketa say in the third boon? Eyam prete vichikitsa manushye
Yeyam prete
चिकित्सा
vichikitsa
मनुष्ये
manushe
asti ityeke nayam asti iti chaike.
अस्तीत्येके
astyeke nayamasti iti
नायमस्तीति
chaike
चैके
Itad vidyam anushishtastvayaham
एतद्विद्यामनुशिष्टं
एतदनुशिष्टस्त्वयाहम्
Paranamesha varastritiyah.
प्रणामेष
वराणामेष
वरस्त्रियः
वरस्त्रियः
It is very clear. Prete, after the body falls, there is a lot of doubt what happens. Ya iyam prete san, vichikitsa manushye, there is a doubt. As I tell, we sometimes go to a cremation ground and see that the person is gone, he's been cremated, the body has been cremated, he's not been cremated. You say, what happened? Where does he go? What happened to him? Will he come back? Will he come back in what form will he come back? Why would he come back in that form? Asti iti eke. There is something after this. Eke, once, some people say asti, there is something after that. You burnt the body and finished. That's not the end of it. Asti iti eke. Eke means once, plural. Na ayam asti iti cha eke. Others say, no, it's not like that. There is nothing. Charvaka style. We have known this fellow for the last 50 years. I've seen him grow from a child. He's gone. What can there be? Only ashes. Dust turned to dust. Nothing is left. This is the doubt in the minds of everybody. I also have this doubt. It's not surprising that I should have this doubt. Etad vidyam anushishtastvayaham. By you I have to be taught. Tvaya aham anushishtaha. This is my third boon. I'm asking you to teach me the correct thing. Remove this doubt. This varanam esha varastatiyaha. This is my third boon that I ask for. In answer to Tritiyam varam nachiketo vrinishva. And then starts the very interesting dialogue between Yamadharmaraja and Nachiketa, which we'll take up. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Not too bad.